hungover from last night, or have you been drowning your sorrows after yet another collapse?
Nope, this is just a headache from having to listen to McGuire and Milbury all morning long.
Preds lose 4-2 to the Dallas Stars at the 2020 Winter Classic at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas. Brand new year, same old Preds, get a lead, face adversity, and cave. The Winter Classic is quite the spectacle ever since the league introduced it, as it is the first game that ushers in every new year. This year's event was the second most attended in the event's history, second only to 2014 when the Detroit Red Wings hosted the Toronto Maple Leafs at Michigan Stadium. You might be surprised to know that coming into this year's event, the road team has actually won 8 of the previous 11 matchups, so Preds fans were hopeful coming into this one. Being the first time this event is being held south of Missouri, next to being held in Tennessee, naturally, you can't pick a better venue than the legendary Cotton Bowl to host such a grand spectacle. During the team intros, there was audibly more boos for the Preds. Naturally, they were the road team, but Preds Nation, good job, because I could hear you cheering on NBC. Teams feeling each other out early in the first when only 2.5 minutes into the first period, before everyone in the Cotton Bowl has probably had a chance to sit down. The puck comes to Ryan Ellis at the point and he gets a shot off when Corey Perry comes flying in with an errant elbow and Ryan Ellis is down. The NHL Situation Room is on site for this special event. They review the play and do indeed give Corey Perry 5 and a game, and he's done after only 38 seconds. As he took the walk of shame back to the Stars dressing room, I wonder if he was like Olaf Sanderson from Mighty Ducks 2. 5-minute major and a 10-minute misconduct for them to be down to 5 defensemen for 58 minutes of regulation hockey. Well worth it. As of the recording of this video, the NHL Department of Player Safety has announced that Corey Perry will have a hearing for his elbow to Ryan Ellis. And because they didn't specify that it would be an in-person hearing, by the sounds of it, it will just be over the phone, which means the most he'll get is 4. At that moment, it felt like a little bit of poetic justice when Alexander Radulov was chosen to serve the penalty for the ejected Corey Perry. A minute and a half into the 5-minute major, Blake Como of the Stars causes a delay of game penalty when he knocks the puck over the glass, and the Preds go to work on their weaker of the league power play, having a 5-on-3. Preds with some crisp passes as they wait to get the setup that they like, and Forsberg finds Duchesne to the left of Bishop, and he hammers it home for a 1-0 Preds lead. Duchesne is to the left of Bishop about the goal line, and he sees Dante Fabro skating in untouched, and he has it wide open, and it makes it 2-0 Preds. Later, Matt Irwin takes down Gurionov of the Stars, and because he got his skates and not the puck, Gurionov would have a penalty shot attempt. On the ensuing penalty shot, Gurionov would shoot it wide, keeping the Preds lead at 2-0. Late in the first, Nick Bonino throws the puck at the net, and Craig Smith is right there in front of Bishop to get a couple of great chances, but he can't capitalize. If he gets one of those 2 chances, perhaps this is a completely different game by the end of it. Preds get a couple of great chances as the first intermission horn sounds, and the shots are 8 apiece, and it looks to be a positive start for the Preds. But how many times have we said that this season? Craig Smith would get a great chance early in the second, but Ben Bishop turns him aside. Point blank save by Rene on Cogliano a little bit later. He appears to be dialed into this game. I can't remember if I tweeted this or not, but I did say this out loud to my brother, who I was watching the game with, that at about the halfway mark of the second period, the only thing that ticks me off more than Laviolette not using his timeout at the opportune time is that NHL on NBC still doesn't have a shots on goal clock. Like NBC, do you not want my eyes fixated on the TV as much as possible, watching the play, taking in all the advertisements without having to take breaks, now and then to refer to NHL.com and see the updated shots on goal? Tyler Seguin would go to the box for boarding Austin Watson, but the Preds failed to score on a man advantage. As Seguin's penalty expires, he comes out and the puck comes to him, and he's in alone on Pekka Rinne, who makes a couple of great saves to keep the Preds lead at 2. It's at this point that the official attendance for this year's Winter Classic is announced at 85,630, officially making it the second highest attended Winter Classic. Roman Josi would take a cross-checking penalty on Joe Pavelski, who does sell it a little bit, but alas, the Stars are going on the power play. Preds actually had some great short-handed chances while Josi was in the box, and the Preds successfully kill it off, but shortly after the penalty is killed, Rinne has no stick and is unable to stop Blake Como from making it 2-1 Preds. Preds are forced to kill another penalty as Colin Blackwell takes a delay of game penalty, and the Stars don't score on it before the second period is done, but it does indeed carry over to the third. Period ends 2-1 Preds with a lot more shots generated by both teams, the Stars outshooting the Preds 24-22. Early in the third, the Stars capitalize on the penalty that carried over from the second of Blackwell's, and they tie this game at 2. Shortly thereafter, Jamie Benn sends in Tyler Seguin on a breakaway on Pekka Rinne, and he rings one off the post. To the shock of most of Preds Nation, those at the Cotton Bowl, and those of us watching at home, Peter Laviolette calls a timeout to try and calm his troops down. Preds respond in the wrong way as Ryan Johansson hooks Heiskanen of the Stars, and they go on the power play looking for their first lead of the game. The Stars would indeed make the Preds pay, and it's Preds Nation old friend Alexander Radulov. Because of course it had to be him. Ah! And the Stars have a 3-2 lead. The Stars are just doing circles around the Preds at this point, and soon after, Sekera makes it 4-2 Stars. Rinne is pulled late, and the Preds have no timeout to try and set up what they want because Laviolette had already used it when the Stars tied the game at 2. Down by 2, and with the goalie pulled, this team just can't find its second gear, and they fall to the Stars 4-2. The classic tradition is continued after this year's event, where players from both sides line up to shake hands just like they do after every playoff series comes to an end. I'm afraid to say it, but that might be the only handshake line the Preds line up for this season. For the second time in the last 18 days, the Nashville Predators lose to the team that eliminated them in last year's postseason, both times having a lead and then losing. The Preds have not defeated the Dallas Stars since April 15th, 2019, and will not face them again until March 5th, 2020, when they will have a home-and-home against them that ends on March 7th. Surprisingly though, if they defeat the Dallas Stars in either of those two games, it will not have been the longest drought that they have suffered through not beating a team that eliminated them from the previous postseason. Believe it or not, the Preds went an entire season after being eliminated in the spring of 2007 by the San Jose Sharks until defeating them again in the regular season in the fall of 2009. There was just no fight in this team to exact any revenge on the scoreboard after being eliminated by this squad in last year's postseason, or get any measure of revenge for their fallen teammate Ryan Ellis. I know this team has suffered from collapses before during this season, but at least those have been with intact lineups they've started the game with and ended the game with. The game today was different since the Preds had to play the majority of it with 5 defensemen as compared to the Stars, who only had to play down 1 forward after Corey Perry got tossed. Not to mention that Dan Hamhuis was back for this game, and he was not playing at 100%, still suffering from that puck to the face that he suffered on Friday versus Pittsburgh. That being said, this is a consistent season-long problem with the Preds. Get a lead, face adversity, and cave. I know Pekka Rinne has had his rough spots this season. I've started to highlight them in my recaps, but today was in no way on him. He worked his butt off today and he deserved a better result for it. I was shocked yet impressed when Laviolette decided finally to make an in-game adjustment and call a timeout. But this team didn't respond in the proper way. Instead, Johansson took a penalty. It's not to say, Peter, that the fan base wasn't right when we were calling on you to use this ploy earlier in the season when this team was struggling badly. Perhaps it will go down as being the last resort before Poyle finally realizes this team needs a change. The message is not getting through to the players from the coaching staff, Poyle. Eye-opening post-game when Peter Laviolette answered a question from Adam Vingan of The Athletic, again asking him if he was feeling any pressure, and Peter said this time that he wasn't going to get into it at this moment, as compared to his answer in November when he said he wasn't feeling any pressure. Perhaps something is going on behind closed doors that we don't know as of yet, Preds fans. Preds fans have been dying to see something galvanize this team. Today could have been a great moment with a less than 100% Dan Hamhuis, no Colton Sissons, and no Ryan Ellis for 58 minutes of the game, but this team couldn't rally to get 2 points. Pekka Rinne was quoted post-game as saying, "We're in trouble." Something Preds fans have been feeling for a while now. This Sunday's game in Anaheim, Preds fans will be the halfway mark of the season. Unless something major is coming down the pike, Preds fans, get used to it. This is your 2019-2020 Nashville Predators, for better or for worse. One last thing I'd like to comment on about this game. To Dallas Stars coach Rick Bowness, bad take, bro, on the Corey Perry hit. Bowness was quoted as saying that he felt terrible for Perry suffering from the misconduct and missing the majority of the game, and that the team rallied to win the game for him. Corey Perry, a third liner on Dallas at best, traded playing the majority of this game so that Nashville wouldn't have their second best defenseman for the game. I haven't heard anything contrary from Stars fans on Twitter, but let's just say, Rick, the penalty was completely warranted. In closing, props to Dallas for how they hosted the Winter Classic. Stars and Preds fans showed the world that hockey belongs in the South just as much as it does in regular, traditional hockey markets. Props to the 20,000 plus members of Preds Nation who traveled to Dallas for the Winter Classic to represent the fan base. I heard you loud and clear with the "you suck" chants after the Duchesne and Fabro goal, and certainly at the 1 minute mark of every period with the "thank you, Paul." You showed more heart by doing so than this team has on the ice as of late. Travel home safe from Dallas. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, hit like if you liked this video. Hit subscribe if you had a Happy New Year. You can find my social media links by clicking on the channel name. Tell all of Preds Nation that the real fans will always be here.